I'm Matt Bouchard at the Hay Adams Hotel in Washington, D.C. for NAREIT's 2017 Washington Leadership Forum. Joining me today is Mitchell Sabshon, President and CEO of Inland Real Estate Investment Corporation. Mitchell, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
We're here at Washington Leadership Forum. Can you tell me what's the one policy issue that you're most interested in discussing?
Well, I think clearly with the new administration coming on board, tax reform is a major topic of discussion. And while there are many topics within tax reform of particular relevance to the real estate industry, I think nothing is currently more important than the 1031 like-kind exchange provisions of the Internal Revenue Code. There has been much discussion on both sides of the aisle prior to the current administration coming into place about doing away with 1031, possibly as a source of additional revenue for the administration. But with President Trump now in office, there is some discussion about whether 1031 has a place in the code. We happen to think that 1031 has been a fundamental part of real estate investing. We think it's revenue positive for the country as a whole. It inspires continued investment by investors, creates opportunities for increased employment, and we would like to see 1031 stay substantially as it currently is. So we'll be most interested in seeing how the current administration and its initial tax bill addresses 1031.
And for your company, where do you see the greatest opportunity in the current real estate market?
Well, right now, amid much talk about some softening in various property types across the spectrum, we haven't seen much of that. At Inland, we tend to focus on secondary and strong tertiary markets, and so we look for opportunities there. Across most property types, with yields still being relatively tight, we've seen a number of competitors, mostly institutional investors, coming into those secondary and tertiary markets where we haven't really seen them much before. Having said that, in terms of opportunities, we continue to like grocery-anchored and shadow-anchored retail in those secondary and tertiary markets. The retail industry has taken significant hits as a whole, but not all retail is the same. Clearly, fortress malls, the strongest A-plus super-regional malls, pricing is held very steady. And as far as we can tell, grocery-anchored retail continues to hold steady. And we see opportunities in that space within those secondary and tertiary markets. That's certainly where we're focusing our attention for 2017.
And on the flip side, where are you seeing some challenges?
The challenges we see are in the multifamily sector and in the self-storage sectors, both places where Inland invests. With respect to multifamily, clearly there has been a material amount of overbuilding, certainly in primary markets, not so in secondary and tertiary markets. So while there has been some softening in those primary markets for quality Class A newly constructed multifamily, we see a great deal of competitiveness for actually B+B assets in secondary markets. Pricing for some of those assets are on top of where pricing for A quality assets is in primary markets. So there's a tremendous amount of competition in multifamily. And the same thing with self-storage as well. We started investing in self-storage about 2-3 years ago, and with the mobility of Americans today, especially the millennials, storage has become a significant component of lifestyles, and we see great competition there as well. So challenges to buying assets that will return the kind of returns that we want to achieve at Inland.
Mitchell, thank you so much for joining us.
Truly my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
For more REIT news and analysis, be sure to visit REIT.com.